Pokestop nominations can completely change how you play Pokemon Go, and if you're not taking advantage of it, you're missing out on turning empty spaces into active stops or even gyms. This is one of the most powerful ways to shape the game around you. In this video, we're breaking down everything you need to know about nominating Pokestops and how to use them to supercharge your area. Let's get into it. Earlier this year, Niantic was purchased by Scopely, and with that sale, some of the tools trainers relied on for Pokestop nominations were split off and stopped being updated. That left a lot of trainers wondering, are these tools gone for good, or are there still ways for trainers to use them? But before we answer this, we're covering the basics and going all the way into the new strategy of nominating Pokestops. Here's a quick refresher on the basics of nominating a Pokestop. Nominating Pokestops unlocks at trainer level 37 for now. Trainers need to create a Wayfarer account. Trainers need to go through a Wayfarer course. Pokestops go through a voting phase. Not all stops will show up in Pokemon Go due to certain sale rules that Bernie will cover later. Pokestops must be a place for socializing, exercising, or exploring. It cannot be in a sensitive location like a cemetery, school, or private property. You may have seen some of these get through the cracks, but you definitely want to avoid those. You don't want to use a generic business, and it must be unique and permanent. When providing the information for a Pokestop, you're going to need two photos. The first is going to be the actual Pokestop, and another one is going to be the Pokestop and the surrounding area. This makes sure the Pokestop is reachable, it's safe, and that it's actually a Pokestop. You'll need to provide a simple title for the Pokestop, and you need to give it a description as well. You'll also need to give additional supporting information that tells a little bit about that Pokestop. And it could be in your best interest to also include in there whether it's good for socializing, exercising, or exploring. And do not mention that this is for a Pokestop because Wayfarer is used for way more than just Pokemon Go.
Pokestops follow basic rules once they're approved. Pokemon Go is broken up into large and small squares. The large squares are called level 14 S2 cells, and these small squares are called level 17 S2 squares. Only one Pokestop can be in these smaller level 17 S2 cells. So if one of your nominations is approved, but there is already a Pokestop in that smaller cell, it will not show up in Pokemon Go. The larger level 14 S2 cells determine the gyms. So if you have 0 to 1 Pokestops, you'll have 0 gyms. 2 to 5 Pokestops, you will have 1 gym. 6 to 19 stops, 2 gyms, and 20 to 34 stops, you'll have 3 gyms. And trainers use an app called IITC, which would overlay the cells on top of current Pokestops, and this would get updated. But since the Niantic sale, this is no longer being updated, so it is not a holy grail that trainers use anymore. Since this app is no longer being updated, it's not 100% reliable, but it's still a great resource to see those cell levels on the smaller and larger scale. And if you're in an area with absolutely 0 Pokestops, that means there's nothing to update, so it's actually quite reliable for you in that case. And there's been an update when you nominate Pokestops within Pokemon Go. Previously, when you nominated Pokestops, you didn't see anything, but now you can actually see the current and active Pokestops as well as points of interest, which are typically power spots. So what you can actually do is use the IITC app, even if it's not being updated, just for those cell levels. Use the Pokemon Go app that gives you the current Pokestops, and that way you merge the two and you have almost like one useful app again. So let me give you a real world example of this. We were currently in Da Nang, Vietnam, and there's a place that we had coffee every single morning. I was like, this is a great Pokestop. Now, before I actually nominated this Pokestop, I checked out IITC to see where I was in the cells. Now, there are a lot of cells up and down that street, so I went around and explored the area to see what other Pokestops could I nominate. There are actually 3 other cafes all in a line of each other, and that would perfectly fit into those 3 cells. So I went into the Pokemon Go app, I went to uploads, and I checked to see if any of these were any active stops, and they were not. So I knew I was working with a fresh area on that specific street I was at. And why it's important to use the IITC app is because depending on where you place your nomination, you may be able to get more Pokestops than you think. So there are these 3 cafes. One is called Forest Cafe, then you have Cafe Phuong, then you have Hamne Cafe. Forest Cafe easily fit in the smaller cell. Now it was Phuong Cafe and Hamne Cafe that actually kind of overlapped a bit. If I had gone ahead and nominated Hamne Cafe a little bit too close to the Forest Cafe, it wouldn't have allowed me to nominate Fwan Cafe. So what I did for Hamne Cafe was, rather than nominating the main sign, I nominated a smaller sign off of the other side street to give it into a different cell. Then that allowed for a free spot for Cafe Fwan. So when you're looking at an area and deciding if you want to nominate a Pokestop, first check out IITC and the Pokemon Go upload area. See what is already currently in the game. Once you have seen what is empty and free for you to nominate, check and see if there are a couple other options for you, because you might be able to nominate a couple different things, or just nominate maybe a different area than you were originally planning to have more Pokestops. I've been able to nominate stops all around the world. I nominated some back home in South Carolina. My parents' area has 3 gyms, I think about 8 Pokestops. This is a really great place to play. It was absolutely dead. In Romania, where my family lives, there's this nice walkable promenade area. I nominated Pokestops there as well. I've nominated them in Vietnam. I just take a look at the area that I'm playing in, so that way I can go ahead and make it playable for when I'm there, or even if I'm going back later. Now let me get a little bit more into some advanced thoughts on Pokestop nomination, because I've spent almost a whole year really looking into this and trying to really figure it out. The first thing is to think like an approver. If you have not actually approved Pokestops, I highly recommend that you do that. It's a great way to look to see what are people nominating, what are the titles, descriptions, and the photos. Because if you see some really bad examples, that can help you figure out some really good examples. Some of the biggest issues that I see are the photos, and it's the second photo. A lot of the times the second photo is a duplicate, or it's like taking a photo and like they turn around and it's not actually showing me the area. So always make sure that you're showing me that area, rather than just like something that you think is going to be helpful. I need to see that like what you're showing me is actually part of like a real area. Also, I feel like a lot of people nominate private property because it'd be really great to have a home Pokestop. But if you live in the suburbs in a really small town, your like local home area might not be the best. You might be able to nominate something like a community pool or a gazebo or something, but not everyone has those things in their community, so just be mindful that you're not nominating your home like playground, which I saw earlier today. I also see a lot of duplicate stops, because I think a lot of people see an area in their town that they're like, this would be a perfect Pokestop, probably not realizing that it's actually already been approved, but they're not seeing it in Pokemon Go because of these cell rules. So that's why it's really important understanding that cell rule, because you might think that there is a great stop, but because of the cell rule, it's just never going to show up in Pokemon Go. I also see a lot of inappropriate places being nominated, like cemeteries and schools. For obvious reasons, you don't want a Pokestop at a school because you don't want a lot of like random strangers at a school for like raid day. It's just not safe for people. But I mostly see generic businesses being nominated, things like Starbucks, Dollar General, 7-Eleven. Pokemon Go already has some sponsorships with these brands as well, but if you're trying to nominate something like that, try to see if there's a mural around, a small plaque, just something a little bit more distinct and unique that you can nominate rather than the actual business. So I went ahead and I looked at a couple Pokestop nominations from today just to give you some example of just some like unique things I saw, whether they're good or bad. This first one's like this kind of like statue area. This is really great because it's a great place to explore and even exercise, because it looks like it's on a trail. You can see the second picture is a little bit zoomed out, so I can see that it's kind of like a safe area. It's not near a highway. That's kind of like the biggest thing to be like that I'm looking for, is like it's not on a highway. Then we see this trail marker. Trail markers are some of the best Pokestops, and I feel like they're so overlooked. So if you have an area with a ton of trail markers, that is great because they will easily get approved. Then we have like this outdoor exercise gym. I think this second picture is a really good example because I can tell it's the same area, but I can see that it's on a sidewalk area. There's even a lamp there, so I know it's a safe place for people to go. And then the next one you see is like this shrine, so it's a little bit closer up. Then they zoomed out and they took it. It's I would say maybe it's not the most aesthetic place, and that's what I'm saying. These don't have to be the most beautiful and vibrant murals or anything. It just has to be something identifiable to you and your community. And you can see it's just kind of like in this area, looks like maybe there's like a parking lot or something. So again, something safe. So this is another great example of a Pokestop. There's this bakery. Don't forget, local businesses are really great to do. You just have to really explain why this local business is unique. Do they serve something specific to your area? Like the Vietnamese coffee shops, I was like, oh, they serve local Vietnamese coffee, right? So there's something unique about it. You can see that second photo has another picture of a sidewalk. So I know it's somewhere that people can walk to and explore throughout their day. This one is this like really cool teapot, like almost like mural art that they have. And I really love that. But it's that second picture again. You can see the full building. You can see there's a sidewalk. It's somewhere safe. It's a really cool stop, but it's in a really good location as well. We have Cafe Racer. This is a really good Pokestop, but I could not approve it because look at this second photo. It is just of a wood wall. I'm assuming this is the wall near this place, but I don't know. I cannot see Cafe Racer anywhere here, so I had to reject that sadly. But it would be a good Pokestop. So if you nominated that, just take a better picture. Or even like this Cafe Amazon. I personally would have taken a picture of Cafe Amazon from the front. This is okay from the side as well. You can see they took a little zoomed out picture of Cafe Amazon that shows it. So there's a lot of different types of Pokestops that you can have. So just make sure that those photos are really, really good, because that's honestly the biggest thing that people are looking for, is that the photo matches that second photo and that it's in a safe place.
Let us know in the comments if you have any additional tips for creating Pokestops.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Bye everyone!
We want to give a huge thank you to our incredible Patreon supporters. Your support means everything to us and helps make content like this possible.
You're helping us take things to the next level. We couldn't do this without you.